Let's look forward.
Yeah. That's not gonna work anyway. Yeah, because it. Having to makeshift everything here. Yeah, I know. Waiting on people to get in the chat room here, guys. This is Tuesday's Q&A with Paranormal Round Table. Josh Turner. I'm having to do this from my phone because the office doesn't have the Wi-Fi on. I pay my part. But people suck. People don't do the right thing. People don't pitch in. It's going to end up having to be me paying for it. And others can benefit from it. You ever feel like that, folks? You do all the work and other people benefit? I know we do that, and we feel that's the way sometimes. I need to get into my phone because some of my notes for the Q&A are in there, and I'm not able to do that. One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, folks, just straight up, going into, I wanted to know what your thoughts were on the Gregory episode that I dropped with Ryan Tremblay that came out on Sunday. What did you folks think about it? And if you haven't listened to it, and you haven't gone and checked it out, shame on you. Shame on you. Unless you were busy watching the Buccaneers beat New Orleans, then I'm okay with that. Otherwise, you have no excuse. It says, I'm from Mississippi. You have anything weird happen in Mississippi? I know I told a story on DER about a lady in Mississippi who had a Dogman problem, and there were little dogs that would run around yepping with this thing. I don't know if anybody has any stories or anything like that you could cover, give me. But those are very interesting when a Dogman runs with a pack of coyotes or has little dogs hanging out with it. And it's like, the pack leader. Kind of weird. This lighting is like pink.
It's changing.
It's changing? I hope it changes quickly because I don't like pink. So.
Well, you should be reading the questions, not looking at the lights.
Well, because this is bothering me. That's why. All right, folks. So, looking at some comments here. Any cool stories from Alabama? I got one. I read something recently about Birmingham. I think it was a flying cryptid story. So, yeah. Justin, what's up, man? Atlanta, Austin, lots of things going on here in Mississippi. Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts. I myself grew up in a haunted house. You grew up in a haunted house? What was that like? I lived in a haunted house when I was a kid. Pretty much on more than one occasion, but one in particular was there was a lot of weird stuff going on. Maybe I should talk about it more one day on the show. It seemed to focus more on the women in the house, but I could feel its presence. I could feel that it was there, and it was definitely malevolent. Like when my family members and stuff, extended family members would come to visit, weird stuff would happen. Like my great aunt said that something was in the bathroom, and just different stuff like that. And then me and my cousins were laying in the bed, and we saw like this shadow of a man walking down the hallway. I think I talked about it in one of the earlier episodes of PRT. And then we had, I had a house that I lived in for about 10 years It was definitely haunted. My hair's a mess. It's been raining over here, folks, so I had to get out in the rain. Can't ever keep my hair straight because I need a haircut and haven't had time. I have not had time to do a haircut. So that's how bad it's been, how busy we've been. Cryptid and Paranormal Committee. It was amazing. You and Ryan have great natural chemistry. Ryan is a good host / co-host, and I think that he was underutilized when he was on Venomous Fringe. He was not used to his full potential, and I think that now with his show, you're going to get a lot of good stuff. I think it's going to be a good deal, and we're going to be releasing episodes on Sundays. I believe that we're doing the Squad this coming Sunday, and Ryan will get you up to speed on that and what that is and what the Squad is. Says here, Ethan, Ohio is the center of paranormal, right, Jarvis? Ohio definitely has its share. When is the gaming channel coming out? I have no idea. What is that? There's going to be a gaming channel? What does that have to do with me? Do I look like I'm playing games? Sorry about the video quality. It's like I said, I have to do this from the phone. When will the Patreon be ready to roll?
I'll have it up by this Friday, actually.
And what is that going to entail?
I think I'm just gonna do 2 tiers for now. I'm gonna do 1 tier that's like, I think the cheapest Patreon will let you go is like $2 or $3, and that'll be the first tier. And the second one, here, take the phone. And the second tier for the Patreon will be maybe like $5 a month. Like you'll pledge $5, and then and say, okay, if you pledge $5 a month, maybe on these Tuesday Q&As, Wolf will give you a shout out personally. Like I'll give him a list of all the patrons from Patreon, and tell him, hey, all these people, they're tier 2 or 3, whatever tier you are. Let's say like $5 a month tier 2 patrons, right? So when we do these, like maybe he can start it out giving you a shout out, like a personal shout out, or whatever name you're on under Patreon, like that's what he's gonna shout out. So something along those lines. It's just still kind of in the works, but yeah. And then it's probably not gonna stay there. We'll just go from there. I don't know what the third one will be, but I mean, we'll think of something. Maybe the third tier will be like $10 a month, and then you'll get a shout out on the Tuesday Q&A, and then let's see, shout out on the Tuesday, and then maybe I'll put your name like in the rolling credits of a video or something, or in the description of each video. So like you'll get personal recognition for doing that, because by being a patron and subscribing to the Patreon, I mean, you are enabling the show. Like you're a big part of the reason that we can do it, because you're paying for it. I mean, the stuff, yeah, it's a hobby, but hobbies can get expensive, especially if you want to do them well. So yeah, I'm gonna give y'all back to Wolf.
Green is such a flattering light. Everybody knows that. Pink and green just make everybody look great. Hi from Boston. We love PRT. Thank you. Like the Red Sox. They're like my third team. On the Astros and the Rangers. Ryan seems to be very knowledgeable and well-spoken. Thanks for mentioning him, Josh. Ryan is knowledgeable and well-spoken. That's why I chose him. Kind of like to get away from some of the negativity but it just seems like it keeps coming up. I got people like still pestering me and still bringing up stuff. I'm gonna say this again. I really don't care if you guys want to go and be supportive of Crypt Squad. People are asking me, should I leave the Crypt Squad? Whatever. I don't care. Be his friend. I don't really care. Some people, are posting things like, oh, well, he's a nice guy. He's never done nothing to me. Well, good for you. That's you. That's not us and our experience and all the other people who've had problems with that guy. So praise God that you have not seen his bad side, as Mr. Moran has said to many other people. He seems to have some sort of like maybe split personality or something, because some people, say that he's a great guy and that he's never done anything to them. But you're also not running groups where he's threatening members and you have to take action. So that's, and folks, unless you live in the area where he lives, I really wouldn't. I'm not saying that he's not a dangerous person. I'm not saying that, but I wouldn't be too worried about his threats. I mean, the things that he's said to a few people, like he would do this or that. I think it's just him talking. And I think he let the power of that group and his association with our thing here and with other people in the paranormal and cryptid community kind of go to his head, and then he just started kind of being a bully. It was like his way or the highway, and that's just kind of what happened. But I don't discourage people and tell them not to be his friend or associate with that guy. Do whatever you want. It's your choice. It would be awesome if you would do a podcast or whatever it's called from that haunted house you guys lived in. I tried to go buy that house one day when I was in that neighborhood, it's probably back in the summertime, about 6 months ago. And my wife was with me, and there was a guy outside, and they were, of course, moving out of the house. And I told my wife, I was like, I'd like to go up and talk to them. And she's like, no. And she literally started like having a fit because she forbid me from getting out of the vehicle. She said she felt something really weird and didn't want me going there, and something could recognize me and attach itself to me. And so I didn't. But I kind of wanted to pull out my phone, and record them talking about it and why they were moving, because somebody's moving in and out of there like all the time, because it's a friend of ours, a friend of Scorpion's, who lives close by to that house, and she says that it's like every 3 or 4 months new people are moving in and out of it. They don't stay long. I don't know how we did it. I know how we did it. Cheap rent. Not there all the time. Mostly gone. That's pretty much it. I gotta look at something. I really gotta get my notes out of here. Connecting. Sorry about that, folks. I had to check something out. One of the things people were asking me about is some of how to get to Dogman Encounters, my episodes from Dogman Encounters. That's a question that keeps coming up. If you go to YouTube and you want to watch past videos in the archives of our show on PRT, one of the things you can do is go to YouTube and you can go to videos. Just hit the logo to the left, and then it'll pop up. At the top it'll say videos, and that's how you can scroll down and watch all of our past episodes. It'll go in order from newest to oldest, all the way down, and that's how you watch past episodes of PRT, because some people aren't real tech savvy and some people aren't real good with YouTube or whatever. But also to access the DER episodes that I was on, and then there's a couple other shows that I did. A couple actually I took down because I just took them down. And one of them that doesn't exist anymore, I did an interview with a show that it's no longer there. The videos are gone, they're erased, and it was a video, and they're no longer in existence. But So that's gone. The episode I did with BDRP was a 5-hour episode. We talked about all kind of interesting stuff, but that was taken down. So that's gone. I don't know if it's still on the BDRP or whatever, but I know that it's gone from our deal. I don't know if we took it down or who took it. I didn't, but somebody in the team might have done it. But the Dogman interviews are on there, and it's under Dogman Collection, and it's under playlist. So if you go to that same, like I said, hit the logo, the PRT logo on the left. Is that correct?
Playlist?
You hit the logo,
Yep.
and then everything comes up. So then you have video, and the videos will take you, like I said, to all the other interviews or the past shows, and the Dogman interviews will pop up under playlist. So you can watch, or you can listen to all my Dogman. And if you want to ask questions about those in cases and investigations that I did, I'd be more than happy or willing to investigate. It was chilly in here earlier. Now it's getting warmer. It's because of the lights. Hey, Wolf, do you have any stories from El Paso, Texas? Yes, I do. Actually, and thank you for the donation. I don't know what episode it is. Maybe Anthony can look it up, but it's I think it might be under the vampire episode. I think that's the episode that we an ex-girlfriend of mine was in El Paso, and she was on a date and ended up having someone try to attack her.
Episode 33.
Episode 33, and that happened in El Paso, and two Fort Bliss soldiers intervened and kind of helped her out, and it took me a while to get her to talk about that. And I'm talking, we dated for about a year before she would talk about what happened to her in that city. Robert Spencer, I've been a fan of your story since you were in Vic's show for the first time. I was on Oklahoma Cryptid Brothers episode 16. I was the one who saw the Dogman take a dump. I'm a sculptor and made a what? I've been bringing all the episodes the last couple of weeks. I'm slow to come to YouTube to subscribe, but here I am. I love this podcast. I listen and laugh at work. Sarah, like I said, I'm using my phone for this interview, guys, or this Q&A, because of the internet is out at our office. And I share this office with 3 other individuals, and if they don't all pitch in for the internet, I'm not paying for it. I paid for it last time. I'm not doing it again. Speaking of BDRP, has anyone heard of D is okay? Sometimes what went down was horrible. Seems like what went down was horrible. Hope all involved got help and are okay. I really don't comment on that. All I know is what I've heard. Probably the same thing you guys have. Some people are saying that Dark Waters bought the BDRP. I looked at the site the other day, and it seems like it's changed. So I don't know. Go and check it out. See for yourself. I don't know if my interview is on there. The one I did with Sal, and we were on there. I don't know. Custom Dogman bust for Lance. I made several of him. I think I'm in episode 32. Showcase my artwork, Bigfoot sculpts and stuff. I'd love to do a custom sculpt for you guys. Robert, absolutely. You can do one of me changing into a werewolf. I'll send you a picture of what it looks like. As you can see, my hair's flying everywhere. It's trying to change right now. The art contest, I've gotten maybe 7-8 submissions right now and about 3 or 4 commitments. So I'd like to have some more people come along. I guess people don't want a cash prize and swag and autographed books. So not as many people are stepping up as I thought. And there's a lot of people that are artists and that were saying, yeah, I'd love to be involved in the contest. And now they're like, not really producing. Can I get another one of these books, one of these Nick Redfern books, so I can use to back this phone up? I'm actually using Nick Redfern's autographed books to back this. There we go, because they're big. Nick don't play around. He don't write no little pamphlets like some of these people be writing pamphlets. There we go. Jordan Cogburn, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Did you really? Travis Family First says, I noticed in the news they use things like dog attacks and packs of dogs for unexplained people's deaths. It's pretty interesting, almost like they're letting a specific group know. No updates after. Well, Denise May says, I remember that one where the dog man took a dump. I don't really watch the show much, but I'll tell you, I mean, it stands to reason that if Dogman comes to our plane of existence and they are, even if they are an etheric in nature, they have to be physical in order to manifest in our plane of existence. And if they're here long enough, that they're probably going to have to. Linda Godfrey has always talked about them coming from somewhere else and then happen to be physical when they're on this plane of existence. So they have to eat and do things like, take a dump. So that could be part of it. Double A says, Dodgers and White Sox are my team. Gross. Master of the house, how many avocados do you eat in a day, Josh? I used to eat about one a day. Is there a reason for that? Do I look like I eat a lot of avocados? Hey, Wolf, any Dogman stories from the San Diego area? Yes, actually, me and Vic covered one together. It was very interesting. It was a case of what we both tend to believe was an ethereal nature, an etheric dogman that actually manifested in someone's house. And I've said this multiple times. It broke out through the window, and that happened in San Diego. Me and Vic talk about it on his show, and I think we rediscussed it when we interviewed him on our show. And there was signs of forced exit, no signs of forced entry. That's happened multiple times. Paranormal Round Table, do you know what happened to crypto PTSD? No, I do not. What is that? I've heard of cryptid PTSD. I can't remember off the top of my head who does that. Any stories from the thumb area of MI? I guess that's Michigan. The Upper Peninsula? Is that what you're asking? Most of the stories, yeah, I get stories from Michigan like pretty regularly. We just got like one from Taylor, Michigan, and then I met a woman recently who was from Taylor, Michigan, and there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on there, like haunted stuff, and apparently there's Dogman that they always seem to show up around the same time. Angel Martin, Paranormal Round Table. What is your show, Angel? It says here he was just on our show a month prior. What is your show? Any more gnome stories? Yeah, we're gonna do a show about that too. John Edmonds, Stardust Ranch. I'm gonna need to write some notes down here. So I'm gonna get this other notebook out, folks, so I can start writing down some of you guys' good ideas. You guys wanting gnome stories? I got gnome stories. Well, I guess they're gnomes. I don't know if they're little people. Well, what does a gnome? What does a gnome look like? I mean, they're little people, right? Little dudes run around. And any stories about Virginia? Yes, absolutely. Pretty much all the states have something. Wolf, that would be great to show you interviewed John Edmonds, Stardust Ranch. Can you give me some more information on that? Crabzilla, what's up with the handle, man? It's weird. Will participate with art thingy. Okay, Amy, I appreciate that. Yeah, him and Wes Basta be pals. Who are you talking about? What do you think about the disclosure that is finally happening about UFO technology we have currently and the government's relationship with ETs? Have any stories? Here's what I'll say about the UFO thing. And that's a whole rabbit hole. I don't want to get into a whole discussion about this. I wish I would have put some product in my hair because it is all over the place. Look like Kramer from Seinfeld over here. The UFO thing, I've always, me and my brother have talked about it a lot because, you know, he had a buddy that was real into UFOs. He was always talking about it and stuff, and he was always telling us about it. He was a musician. Name was Scott. He was constantly just, every time I went over there to his studio, nice guy, and played good music. And I liked hanging out over at his studio. It was right there on 6th Street, in a side street off of the entertainment district, and I'd hang out up there, and real relaxing vibe, kind of a hippie-ish dude, real laid back, cool. But he would just constantly talk about UFOs and had pictures. Like he had a lot of pictures of UFOs, and but UFOs are boring. I mean, just them themselves. I get plenty of stories, and I'll add them into the mix, into the sauce of stories if it ties into something else besides just seeing a flying saucer. Because if you see a UFO in the sky, and I've said this before recently, I've seen 3 round metallic balls over the last like maybe year and a half, and I don't know what they are, and I've seen them. I've been driving with my wife twice. Once she had gone inside one of the houses of a site that we were working at to do the door locks. We were working together, and I was locking the other doors, and I got done right before she did because she was slow at it because she's got short little legs, and so she was locking up one of the houses, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the truck, start doing the report because you do it on your phone, and started doing the report, and I just look up and I see this round like ball that looked like a round ball up in the sky. And it was weird. Like it was very odd. And then it was gone. Like it looked like it was there and it was just gone. And it was like twilight. It was almost dark. Another time I was driving with I believe you, Anthony, and Tony, or I think it was you and Tony, or maybe it was Tony and Zane. And anyway, we're coming back from New Braunfels, and everybody was asleep but me. And I look up and I see this same thing, like this round ball in the sky. It was kind of far away in the distance, but it just looked like a shiny BB was in the sky. I don't know what it was. Another time I was headed out to Jonestown to look at some property, and I saw that too. I saw it again at that time, and that was the last time I saw it. And I believe that was in October of 2019, something like that. And I think that was it. So, but up to that point, I had really never seen UFOs. Didn't really seem that profound. I mean, it didn't change my life or anything like that. But I know that people see UFOs, and then they have situations that go beyond the scope of just like, I saw a UFO, big deal. No, these people have like abduction scenarios that take place, and they have basically what amounts to is like alien encounters with aliens, with ETs or extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, interdimensional terrestrial, whatever the heck you want to call it, the name, just you take your pick. But they'll have these encounters, and I don't know what to make of it. I can't tell you. I can't make heads or tails of the UFO phenomenon when it comes to the abduction thing. That's when it gets interesting for me, because that's when you're basically getting into a quasi-spiritual sometimes, or cryptid type encounters. If you use the word cryptid in the sense of like an unknown creature type entity, definitely got some really freaky stories from people who claim that they were abducted or visited by ETs. And I have a lot of those stories. I could give you a bunch. And we are going to get into some of those. In fact, that may be a series that we're going to be doing, because I was looking just a couple days ago, and I realized that I have enough material to probably do 3 or 4 shows just on people encountering what they believe are ETs. And a lot of these show-worthy stories they're not pleasant. Some of them are pretty terrifying. So yeah, that's what I think. The UFO disclosure thing, I think it could be them preparing us. I mean, everything's possible. It could be preparing us for them to come out and just say, okay, yeah, we're not alone, folks. There's all this stuff going on. I don't know, maybe. I mean, anything's possible. Or they're using it as a distraction. That's also a possibility, too. Anything else? H.H. Holmes, okay, says, I was watching American Ripper the other day on Discovery Plus, and it said that H.H. Holmes was going to build a second murder castle in Fort Worth, but that he got caught. Don't know. I never heard about him doing that. I know that he was one of America's first, I guess he was the first serial killer. He built a castle hotel that he used to murder people, a ton of people, and it was in Chicago. He did it in Chicago, and he built it right before the World's Fair, and he used it to make money. Most of his killings were motivated by money. He was a very greedy man, and that's why he did what he did, and that's why he killed people he killed. And he had a lot of different rooms with different things like booby traps and a lot of insidious and ingenious ways that he murdered people. And you can look up H.H. Holmes. I think his last name was Mudgett or something like that. He had some weird, like goofy name, his real name. But he was a totally terribly evil man. And he had an accomplice that was kind of like some dip, I was going to say the dip crap. Some guy with a low IQ or somebody that was like his henchman or something. And Mudgett, right? Yeah. Henry Mudgett, right?
Herman Webster Mudgett.
Herman Webster Mudgett, yeah. Anyways, you read about him. It's interesting.
No, but you were right. Better known as Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. So.
Holmes, yeah. But he was a very evil and awful man. Says, hey, Wolf, I am a bookworm. Yahoo, great show, always.com. Okay. You getting in there?
Yeah, I'm going to see what this changing the lights does.
I need to get in there. You'll have to excuse me for a minute. Gary is in the... Okay, so Scorpion just showed up. Hey, Scorpion, what's going on? Angel Martin, if you will message me in private, I can answer some questions for you as best I can. It's not something I'm going to talk about on here. The Astros are cheaters. That's not paranormal, but I'll tell you something. The Yankees got caught too in the same year, and their records were sealed. They got caught prior to the Red Sox, and then the Red Sox got caught, and they were told that they were supposed to pay a fine or whatever, and it was kind of a slap on the wrist. And then the edict was issued that if another team got caught, that they were going to be punished severely, and that team was the Astros. But you think about this. I tell people this. They didn't get caught cheating in 2018 or 2019. They were exonerated of any wrongdoing in those years. And in 2018, the Red Sox, who I think were still cheating, beat them, even though I do like the Red Sox, beat them in the ALCS. And then when the Astros in 19, still beat the Yankees on their way to on the way to the World Series, and then they lost to the I can't remember who they even played now. Anyways, they lost the World Series to the Nationals, and then in 2020, this past season, they went all the way to the ALCS and came within a game of going to the World Series again. So how do you explain that? Were they cheating in 18, 19, 20? No, they weren't. So did they really need to cheat? Probably not. They had one of the best teams that's ever been assembled. And I don't think that their cheating really made that big of a difference. Sign stealing has been a part of baseball for as long as I can remember. Everybody did it in high school. You were taught how to try to read the signals. You were taught that in Babe Ruth League and Pony League, and if you could figure out the other team's base signals and whatever signs, then you jumped on it, and all of a sudden it became an issue. I think that the league is just like in the NFL. They have their favorites, and they want the LA and New York markets to flourish. And when others get in there, they really don't like it. They really want the major market teams to win, the media market teams. The Astros don't fit that criteria. They're kind of a third coast team. So, there was nothing going on either with the COVID thing. ESPN didn't have any sports to talk about, so they had to drum up something. So they just kept talking about the Astros for 4 or 5 months because there was nothing to talk about. That's all they had. So they just talked about the Astros relentlessly. And, of course, the league, babies certain teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees, so it's always been that way, The Yankees in particular, I mean, they're 26 World Series, they're like Alabama in college football. Like people get sick of seeing them in there because they're always there. But the Yankees have they have just inexhaustible amounts of money. They can just keep, every year they just go on a shopping spree and buy free agents to go and they have a pretty good farm system too. So they're going to be there like every year. I mean, all the time, perpetually. And the Astros kept eating their lunch and beating them. So they're like, you cheated. But when in reality, they did too. And when it came out in the New York Post, the Yankees threatened to sue them because guess what? They didn't like people knowing that they had cheated too. But the records got sealed. But the media didn't tell you that because that doesn't make for a pretty story. It's just you got to villainize the Texas team and keep talking about how horrible and bad and rotten they are because they didn't want them in there. So, before you make statements like that, you should do your research. Or you can just shut up. Double A. I'm just kidding, Double A. You're probably a nice guy. It says, I'll never forget that. Well, you better. Because the Astros almost went to the World Series again last year. And you can't tell me they were cheating because was it you, Josh, that was talking about having a Dogman experience in Texas somewhere along the Red River? I'm in Manitoba, Canada, in Selkirk, and it's also along the Red River. Son saw 2 Dogmen. No, it was not me. I did not have a Dogman encounter along the Red River. Someone said, I love you, Mushu. People are asking me all the time why Mushu isn't more involved. Mushu is very lazy. Okay, he has a group called Paranormal Encounters. Go check him out. See what, he's on Facebook. It's Tony Long. You can look him up. He's a mutual friend of mine, and whoever's on my Facebook, you can just look him up and go aggravate him. Ask him why he doesn't want to participate more. We record one show, and then he's exhausted. And sometimes I got to record 2 or 3 shows, and I'm like, look, dude, we got to get these shows out, not, be really tired after one show. So maybe y'all can get on to him. A lot of founders, but kind of like the whole thing with Sal. Great guy, nice guy. I can't say anything bad about him as a guy, as a friend, whatever. But he did not want to pitch in to help pay for the show, which wasn't even that expensive in the early days. You wanted me to cover everything. And if he did have to pay for it, he complained. And then he did not want to really help with the interviewing of this and getting the stories. He didn't really want to be involved in talking to people too much. And he made this second account called Old Sal or whatever because he didn't want people, knowing him from his personal life. It was like, dude, we're not the Beatles, dude. I mean, we're just a couple guys doing a podcast, all right? We're not Art Bell. I don't know what he was. I guess he thought he was just fame was gonna hit him, and people were gonna be paparazzis were gonna be taking photos outside of his house, and he's going to have to hire a bodyguard going to and from his truck or something. I don't know what he was thinking, but it doesn't work that way. It's not real life. Gary says everybody does what the Astros were accused of. I did it when I was in Little League. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, everybody does it. I mean, in baseball, there was a pitcher recently who was playing for the Padres, and he admitted, he was like, there's no team that doesn't do it. It's just that the Astros got caught. Dude from Texas, would you go to Marv's show still? Marvin hasn't gotten back with me since my last conversation, so the ball's in his court. And if I have time, I will. And I'll talk and sit and break bread and talk with anybody. I don't go on many shows at all. One of the problems is just I don't have time. I do my show on like Q&A on Tuesday to give you bonus content and we can talk about stuff. Friday we drop the episodes of PRT, and then of course you have Sundays now with Ryan. And Ryan and Marvin are not the best of friends, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes by saying that. I want Marvin or Ryan getting riled up at me because I'm on good terms with both of them. I hope. I've worked things out with Marvin. We kind of had a little, going at it on his live stream. I got on there and I said some things. I confronted him, and but he came clean. He was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. You did. You did try to reach out and blah blah blah." And he was telling people that I didn't. And some of my listeners and that we shared had taken offense to some of the things that he was firing off on his live streams, and they got defensive and started attacking him. And then I was told by some other people saying, "Hey, there's a big thing going on over here with Marvin," and I'm like, "What?" So I went over there and but there was also a third party who dislikes me and Ryan, who was going back and forth and stirring things up. So, and that consisted of more than just one person. It's just the whole drama of being in this cryptid, ghost, paranormal, UFO, Bigfoot community. It's just drama. Dude, there are tons of dogmen in Tennessee, especially around the Smokies. Yes, there are. Gregory Ellison have been shocked a lot by your stories in Maryland and Pennsylvania. You want to elaborate on which those are, because I get so many. Well, that's another thing too, folks. I mean, like I've tried to offer to pay Anthony's little brother Paulito to help me. I told him, I said, you want to make more money than just the job you're doing, going to work every day. You have all this extra time off. Donate 2 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week to helping me manage my emails and talking to witnesses. And I told him I was willing to help him. I would pay him for that. I was just that desperate to get somebody, because everybody else is working. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. And between me and the guys, we're having a hard time keeping up. And I get tons of stories. I do. And I went into this going in with 30 years worth of stories. But I was told by Vic, he's like, be careful, you might eventually run out of material, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I just don't feel like that's going to be an issue for me, especially after I started dropping episodes. And then every time I drop an episode, I would get 3 or 4 stories, not all of them show worthy, but 3 or 4 stories would come in based upon the content that we were talking about at that time. And I would get more stories and they would come in. And so I'll be right back, folks. I got to take a short break. You want to take over for a minute?
Sure. Let's see what we got here. See what I can answer, if anything. Let me see. Oh, dang. Hang on, let me scroll down to the most recent stuff here. Doris Down says that Wolf, any dreams you had that have come true? I've had them since I was 13. I'm 68 now. That's a good question. I'm gonna ask him when he comes back. Don't worry, Doris. I'm gonna make sure he knows that your question is here whenever he comes back. Because I saw you ask that earlier, but there's 175 people in here, so you have to forgive him if he doesn't get to your question. Some people get mad, but that's not really fair. But you know, damn, Josh, you lost weight. This is Josh post. What is it? P90X, or keto, or paleo, or whatever is popular now. I don't know. Whatever people lie to themselves and tell them that they're gonna stick to, and they stick to for like a day, and like, oh, it's too hard. I don't want to do it. Those are the people who say, oh, I've tried diet and exercise it, but it doesn't work. Yeah. What's your definition of trying? Okay. Anyway, back to the questions here. What kind of weed you smoking? I don't smoke weed. I'm very much against smoking weed. It's not fun. It's boring. It's I don't need help sleeping and eating. I do plenty of that on my own. I don't need weed. Are you stoned? Oh, it's the same guy. No. I do like your handle though. Roll the losing dice. That's kind of the story of our lives sometimes. Can't win for losing. What beer? I'm not drinking beer. I'm not. Okay. I'm not gonna answer no more of your questions. Roll the losing dice. How many false stories come through, and what's your scariest experience? Well, I don't really I don't really do much of the interviewing because I do like all the technical stuff for the show, which I don't even want to get into, but it eats up a lot of my time. But there's only like really one story that Wolf was telling me about, and I was like, wait a second, that guy is giving you the plot of a video game.
You want me to tell him?
Yeah, well, it was a guy who was here, you tell him.
Okay.
But yeah, long story short, it was the plot of that video game Hitman.
Hitman. Yes, folks. I actually had somebody that was kind of trolling me recently, and I'm not like I said, I don't know a lot about pop culture and all this, and I guess that's a good thing because whenever I get stories, a lot of times I'm not influenced by some junk that people that I see on TV or whatever. But some guy was sending me emails calling himself Clone 57. Pretty cool story. What he had going was that he was a clone, and that there were government agents that were sending these clones to do dastardly deeds whenever something was to go on, like crisis actors, whenever they would have need for someone to do something dirty, bad, whatever, that they got these clones to do them. And they were cloned in labs and manufactured basically and used by the government, kind of like the clones on Star Wars, I guess you should say. And he claimed he was Clone 57. And then when I was telling Anthony about it, we were working out at the gym the other night, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, there's this guy, Clone 57. I was showing him whatever. And Anthony was like, oh, okay. That's actually the plot of a video game. That is from Hitman, which I vaguely remember. I remember there being a game called Hitman. I don't know a lot about it, but then I was like, okay. So that was most recent. And then there was another one where, and this one, me and my wife were both cracking up about because this guy he was from Massachusetts. He was telling us all these crazy stories about these Dogman encounters he was having. And after the second or third day, he was saying that the female Dogman wanted to breed with him. And then it got weirder from there. They developed a relationship, and he became like the male Dogman got jealous, started stalking him because he was sleeping with his wife, and it was he was talking to her. He taught her how to speak and say things, kind of like Coco's kitten gorilla type thing, whatever. Like the gorilla from Congo, like Amy want green drop drink, it was like, come on, dude. It was just so ridiculous. So yeah, we get weird stories like that. We get some crazy stuff that people send us, and and I don't know what to think of it, dude. Like sometimes it's just so out there. Some of the stuff that we hear about, and you can't really, you can't vet it all. But I mean, you got to really, you know. Could the men in black be clones of an organism not of this earth? Absolutely. That actually sounds kind of plausible in a way. I can believe that could be something. Any praying mantis being stories? My coworkers and I had a weird experience with one. Okay, you know what? Snoopy sales, send that to me because yes, I actually have enough for a show, but I can always use more. I got that written down right here. Mantis stories.
Oh, I forgot. I told Doris downstairs while you were in the restroom that I would ask you a question because I think I remember you telling me about this. She was wanting to know if you had any dreams that had ever come true.
Yes. Yes, I have
And she
multiple
also
times.
said she gave you a compliment. She's like, quit fixing your hair. It's perfect."
Nah, it looks weird.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Doris. The first dream I had that I remember coming true was just something when I was a little child, and it had to do with my grandfather and my dad getting into an argument, and it happened just like that was weird. Then I had one when I was like 13, where I got into a fight with this kid that was in my reading class, and I didn't even know this kid. Like I barely spoke to this kid. He was like from Mexico or something, and there were three of them that were always friends. He sat together, and one of them I was actually cool with, and I'd talk to every now and then because he could speak English. But the other kid, I'd never hardly even spoken to him. His name was Marcos, and we ended up becoming friends after that. But we were invited to a church gathering, and for some reason, I had argued with his friend about something, and we got in. He confronted me and like threw a punch, and the next thing you know, I was in a fight, and I was like, wow. So the dream actually happened just like, it was very weird. But that was not the last. I've had several dreams. I've had dreams of the end times too, things that I've seen and I hope don't ever come true, you know. Shirley Torres, you heard of a praying mantis on Dogman Encounters with Vic? Wow. Which episode is that? Yeah, and James, the Hitman character was Agent 47, but I think that's where Anthony thinks that's where the guy got the idea from, the clone 57.
Yeah, it wasn't exact, but probably because the guy was smart enough to know that he had to change it up a little bit. It was just too much of a coincidence that he called himself Clone 57 and the Hitman character is Agent 47, and the Hitman character is also a clone. And then I don't know. He said he was doing all these special secret things for the government, which is what those clones were used for in Hitman. It's just too much.
Yeah, it was a lot of weird stuff. What time do you have?
You ready?
Make sure my watch is right. I have a couple little paranormal activity stories when I lived in a house for a year. And a UFO sighting on the daytime that I seen really good for about 3 minutes. It's weird because like people will see UFOs and they'll see ghosts and they'll see Dogman and they're all in the same. I don't know if anybody's in the North American Dogman Project, but if you know Nick Valente, he's a friend of mine from the NADP. Nice guy. He sent me and my wife a couple of T-shirts from the NADP, and I posted and my wife wearing one of the shirts in the group. They're pretty cool shirts. You got a big Dogman print on the back of them. He had something he wrote the other day about how he thinks a lot of this could be UFO connected, and he's probably caught some flack from it. But I don't know, man. I think that there's some merit to that because you'll have UFOs in the same area that you'll see people will see Mothman, and they'll see Dogman, and they'll see Bigfoot. And I've even gotten stories, one out of Wales that I talked about, where a Dogman was seen laying on the ground by a husband and wife, who, after seeing this UFO, this alien-looking craft, they saw this creature laying on the ground. And I'll get into that too on the Manus episode, because there's Dogman in there too. Another good book I would recommend, it's called Humanoids. Is it called Inhumanoids or Humanoids? By Barton Nunley.
I think it's called Inhumanoids.
Inhumanoids. Barton Nunley's a good friend of mine, and he's a good author, and he wrote a really lengthy, long book, pretty thick, about different encounters that people had, and some of it was really bizarre. And they talked about these Dogman-looking creatures being like wearing suits, just like the Bigfoot type creatures. I believe that's the book that was where that was talked about. I know that the Bigfoot creatures were in there, and I kind of touched upon it in the Celestial Bigfoot episode we did. But what is PM and DMT connection? DMT is the drug. What is PM? DMT being the hallucinogen. Okay, Likens. Really like the idea of this Q&A, positive vibes and aloha from the... Okay, so Hawaii. Thank you for that donation, by the way. Hawaii, I don't know if you guys remember, I did a story about, I think it was at a potluck, about this creature with really long arms that... I got a lot of weird stories out of Hawaii. I had a couple of friends that hail from there, and a couple of my buddies. One is deceased now, but another one that's Tony's stepdad lived there for a long time, and I've gotten a lot of weird stories out of that place. I think on the episode coming up on Friday with my cousin Trey, the second part, we touch upon a little bit about something that a kahuna had told me about shape-shifting shark people. And as weird as that sounds, I've gotten a couple stories. I believe one was off the coast of North Carolina, where somebody was grabbed by, when they looked down, it was a shark with arms. And you would think, okay, that's a one-off. As me and Lyle Blackburn were talking about it one day, and he was like, you put that in the one-off category. And I have the same thing. I do that as a one-off, But then, I mean, it happened again. Like, there was somebody in Hawaii, and it was near a reef, where something came out and grabbed, and it looked like a shark with arms. It's bad enough if they've got just their jaws, but now they've got arms and claws. So that's basically like a werewolf, like a wolf with arms. They can help it maneuver and do more than just with the claws. So, yeah, that's pretty unnerving, pretty disturbing. But Hawaii, I get a lot of weird stories out of Hawaii. You're not supposed to take anything from there because it can be cursed, and you're not supposed to take any of the stuff that's naturally occurring there because you'll be cursed. Somebody said here, the Ebby Teva, I can't read what your name is. I had a morbid dream of Soundgarden the week before Chris Cornell died. That's not that's not that unusual. When the guy from what's the lead singer from the one that died from it was Cornell, then the other guy from Linkin Park.
Oh.
When he died, there was somebody who had sent me an email saying that they had a premonition that he died. They said it after the fact, of course, but in your opinion, is the traditional werewolf a skinwalker? That's a good question. I really don't know. I don't know what to make of that. That's a heads or tails. I don't know what to do. I do believe that skinwalkers and werewolves are very similar. That they, in the way that they both shapeshift, and they're both they tend to do supernatural evil things, but they are human based. It's almost the same thing, really. I mean, when you think about it. I know some people, I've gotten messages from people saying, okay, Dogman, werewolves, and skinwalkers are all different things. Are they? I mean, are they the same thing? To me, it's like if you were talking about, rounds of ammunition. I don't know if you had like a 40 caliber bullet as opposed to a 40 caliber bullet or a 38. I mean, it's all ammunition, but it's just different calibers. You know what I mean? Different make and model of a vehicle. One's a Ford, one's a Chevy, one's a Dodge, but they're all trucks. I mean, it's kind of how I feel about that. Timelines change. That's why most dreams never come to fruition. Very possible. The dude whose stepdad killed the two dogmen and went hunting 20 years later and seen those weird bug creatures. I remember that. I don't know what that is. Wolf, I saw one night something literally jump over the hood of my car, and it was see-through like smoke, but reminded me of the Greyhound on the site of a Greyhound bus. Split second. What was that? I'll give you a quick one of my quick little short encounters I had. Just as the thing happened to me and Tony Duran that we talked about a few weeks back when I was 17. I had an encounter when I was 18. It was very brief, and I was driving down Woodland Drive in Austin. You can Google the road, and we were on the west side of Interstate 35, but we weren't quite to Congress yet, to South Congress. So you can Google that. You can actually probably look that up. So this happened on the west side of I-35 on Woodland Drive, and it was before you get to South Congress. And so what ended up happening, I was with that guy, Jason, that Tony had talked about, and my girlfriend at the time, her name was Virginia, and my friend Chad McGregor, and we were all driving in my car, and we were all talking, just having a good time. We're 18-year-old kids, and we're out late at night, and we see this smoky-looking fog in the road, and as we drove through into the fog, it went up. Like it went to the base, like of my window, and went up over it pretty quickly. Not like but like quickly, and it was a skull. The smoke was in the shape of a skull, and we all saw it. I mean, we all clearly saw it. And I was driving and kind of like, "Whoa, what was that?" And I was like, didn't say anything at first. I didn't want to be the first one to go, "What was that?" But the girl that I was with, she was like, "Did y'all just see that?" And Chad definitely was leaning forward in between us and was saying something, and he looked, and Jason said, yeah, he said, I saw something that looked like a fog or something go over the window, because we all kind of, well, I didn't actually yell, but Chad and Virginia were like, oh, and Jason looked, and he said he caught the bottom of what looked like a face. But Chad and Virginia saw it very clearly. It looked like a skull to me, and it was just like a wispy, maybe a ghost. I don't know what it was, but it was real quick. Then there was another time I was driving with my friend Squid, and he can attest to this. I was actually supposed to record with him yesterday, but we have a fire watch going for my company, which is taking up a lot of time, and so me and Anthony both had to work. We didn't have a chance to get him in the studio and get it recorded. We hope to do that eventually, but Squid was there with me. We had just come from the gym on Red River. We were working out at 24 Hour Fitness, and we were driving down, what is that main road right there? Like when you get on Red River, if you leave the 24 Hour Fitness, you take a left. And I know this road. I've been
Guadalupe?
It's Guadalupe. Yeah, I think it's 45th Street. Like you go down Guadalupe, and then I think it's 38th or 45th Street. I'm pretty sure it's 45th Street. But anyways, it happened right here in Austin, and it was Christmas time, and we were driving down the the street, and we weren't driving too fast, and I just finished doing upper body. I was pretty sore, me and him both big lifters. He's a Navy SEAL, big strong guy, and we were driving, and we both just kind of looked to the left, and there was this house that was had Christmas tree and Christmas lights, and it was real pretty. And for whatever reason, Austin doesn't have a lot of people. It just seems like they don't really like Christmas or whatever. They're just kind of not. It's not a real big Christmas town. You're going to go to San Antonio. Everybody's got Christmas decorations. Here in Austin, in the last couple of years, I've seen a little more people decorating more. But this was the only house in that area that was decorated. And then those types of hipster neighborhoods, not a lot of people decorate. But there was a really pretty Christmas tree, and we both at the same time look, and we see the woman's like in a white gown that looks like she's floating, and she's like right in they had like a door with like a round, like a glass, and it was like you could see into the house, and it was probably like 1 a.m. We were driving by, and you could just see this woman, and it looked like she was like floating. And I mean, it's very possible that she was just like, maybe she lived there, and maybe we just didn't see her feet, but she was just floating and kind of like staring off into the void, and it was just weird. I mean, we drove by, I was like, what is that? And then we both look, and there was just this woman floating right there, and we just kept going. I didn't stop, and we didn't turn around and go back and try to look either, because I got the idea or the impression that it was a spirit, and Squid saw it too. So that was weird. I mean, I don't know what that was. So like I said, I've had a lot of spirit encounters. Missing People 411, David Politis. I get a lot of people give comments about him, and it's like they really like the guy, or they don't like the guy. I don't know anything about the guy as a person, but I've read a couple of his books. It's pretty intriguing. Do you think Bigfoot could be pre-humans that refuse to use fire? Who knows? There are a lot of different types of Bigfoot. Forest Groves, would you be interested in hearing UFO stories? Yeah, but usually if they're attached to something else, I mean, to me, it's if I just sit here and talk about on July such and such, of the year 19 such and such, somebody so-and-so saw a flying saucer. And then in 2001, so-and-so saw another flying saucer. See how boring it is? There's not like a lot of meat there. I believe in them, and I believe they exist, but I mean, you got to give me something, dude. Give me some sort of, alien encounters or something, because not a lot of people are just going to want to hear about people seeing something in the sky. I mean, was there more to it than that? Or if you have other stories to go along with that and you want to tell that, that's cool too. Any Duende stories, encounters? Yes, definitely.
Someone said they made a video about how Chris Cornell would be killed before he died. It's crazy.
Yep, because he was trying to expose something. My neighbor had a sighting of Dogman about 2 weeks ago with some footage, but it's blurry, on a city block street with A row of homes. Why would Dogman be in heavily populated area with row homes and cars parked on the street? Another neighbor said he was chased by something. Why would Dogman be there? When I was working out at a job site out there in Pflugerville, that's right outside of Austin, it's a suburb of Austin. I was out there one night, and my wife would work with me sometimes, and I was out there, and I don't consider this a Dogman encounter because I don't know what it was, and I'm one of those people where if I have an encounter or something, I can tell you what it was, but I'm not going to announce that I had an encounter unless I'm 100% sure. And I talked about this on one of Vic's shows, and I saw something skinny and gray and hairy messing around in one of the trash bins, which is just these like particle board that they make a square and they dump a bunch of trash into it, and then they go and they take a deal and they dump it, when they're building those tract houses. And if I had to put my money on it, it was a skinny, malnourished looking Dogman. But I didn't get a good look at it because when I walked over there, it was dark and I didn't take my flashlight with me because I just ran over there like a dummy because I was in a hurry to go see what it was because I saw it leaned up looking into the trash can. And when I saw it by the Falcon storage box, it appeared to be like a tall, skinny gray thing. Could have been but there is doubt in my mind because it could have been a skinny, grayish-looking coyote that was standing on two legs that was really tall. I don't know, and I'm not trying to make excuses and explain it all away, but that I never do 100% account that as I saw another Dogman because I don't know. It was dark and it disappeared behind the Falcon storage box, and I went back to my truck to retrieve something, my flashlight and something to protect myself. And when I returned in the truck, I didn't see anything. So I don't know what that was. I don't remember what episode I talked about that was. 186 maybe on Dogman Encounters, but I don't really claim that as a Dogman sighting because my wife swears that we saw a Bigfoot out there, but I think she got a better look at it than I did. But that was in the area where tract housing was being built. Prior to that, it was all just, the only thing that was out there was either farmland or woods. So there was nothing there before. And also, I hope everybody will go and like and subscribe to a Whisper to a Scream podcast with Ryan Tremblay. Like I said, we talked about the Gugwe on Sunday, and we're going to do it again this Sunday. We're going to talk about the Janoshqua, and I give him the stories that I got that may or may not be those creatures, that could pertain to that, and he can give his research on it. Do you have any jinn stories? Yeah. But how do you know that that's what it is? I mean, it says, I'm Native American. I used to have a recurring nightmare that started around 5 or 6 years old about a big regular wolf and not a Dogman would be on the other side of a huge campfire and it would chase me. That's terrifying. I had a weird experience when I was working. I was doing security for Cabela's. And I'm going to talk about it on the show one day. I'm going to write that down. This is something that I've been debating about talking about on the show because it was an encounter that I had with what could possibly be a skinwalker. But like I said, I don't like to say, oh, I saw a skinwalker. I did this, I did that. There was nobody else there with me to verify that. So it's one of those things where I'm kind of hesitant to put that story out there because a lot of my stories, or most of them, there's other people that were involved that could say, hey, this happened, we saw this. But this one, I believe was it was a skinwalker, but I can't say 100%. But this individual, he knew that I had the ojo, that I could see. And when you have that gift, the ojo totaro, when you have that eye, then people know that are bruja, or curandera, they know, or curandero, depending, they can see that that you can see it, and that you have a gift that you can see those things. So I think he was messing with me, and I think he was kind of showing off, what he could do. And I'm going to talk about that story at some point. I debated a long time whether I should even ever tell that story, because I don't want that to kill credibility, but I've come this far and told you guys all about my paranormal experiences up to this point. So if you don't think I'm crazy by this point, I'm actually a pretty pragmatic person and kind of down to earth, and Anthony can attest to this. When something happens, I don't automatically go, oh, was that a spooky ghost? Oh, what was that? Because weird things happen, like my first reaction isn't like, oh, that was a ghost. That was a werewolf. Oh, creature from the Black Lagoon's coming after me. He's grabbing my leg. That's not my first reaction. But as Anthony, sitting right here, across from me, can attest that a lot of weird things have happened. And he's had weird experiences. He's had weird experiences around me. And I hate the paranormal, and I hate when people do it around me. Just can't handle it. Just kidding. I like it. But just don't do it around me. So I am going to talk about my experience with a possible, and the reason it came up with the dream thing is because I had a dream prior to that incident. And it did happen, believe it or not, in January. It was like, I think it was like late January, early February. It was dead of winter, very cold. And I was working security at Cabela's in 2005. So I was having to do the parking lot late at night because they had a tent that was set up. And they had it up for like one day, and then somebody stole some stuff. And then they were like, okay, we need security. So then after that, every time they did the tent sale, I would have to do it. Same thing with Cavender's Boots. I used to have to do the tent sale. Nothing ever happened there, but except for some homeless guy going in and taking a dump. And I will eventually try to tell you that story about the skinwalker. And you could decide whether you think that's what it was. I didn't see a guy change and transform and go and change into a wolf, but it was pretty weird. And I had a dream like prior to that, so I just threw confetti all over the ground. That's great. Gordy's Inn. If you search Cora Gordy's Inn Goblin, I have a pic of one from my house. You have a goblin? That's interesting. The Beast of Gévaudan is interesting. Is this where the silver bullet notion originated? Well, supposedly they did shoot it with a silver bullet. I actually own a couple silver bullets, because you never know. But I can tell you this: it doesn't. They don't tumble correctly. Look that up. You'll see what I'm talking about. The silver is not a really good. It's not very accurate. It doesn't make for an accurate bullet. Any Antarctica stories? Yes, actually, one of the stories we were going to cover, me and Ryan, we were going to get Scott Martis to come in and talk about it, was this creature that they named, can't remember, that some letter and number designation that Russian scientists claim that they battled with in an Antarctic lake that had been isolated from the rest of the world for 5 or 6 million years. And so that's pretty interesting. I was just talking about the Admiral Byrd thing the other day at the gym with someone who works at the gym, and we were talking about Admiral Byrd. Stripes is absolutely dead by now. He died before Abel did. Greetings from Croatia. Do you have stories of friendly encounters with Dogman or Bigfoot? I had a couple little things. Shirley Torres, hit that like button. Thank you. Appreciate that. Tell people to do that. Many casualties from Arctic weather doesn't add up. Plus, Secretary of Defense James Forrestal was tossed off the ninth floor of the NIH in Bethesda, Maryland, when he got back with Byrd because he was going to spill the beans. Says, I believe it. Nothing bad government doesn't surprise me. Conspiracy theories aren't just theories. There's no conspiracy theory. What's funny about the conspiracy theories is that they do things out in the plain open. There's not like that's a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory is something they're not even hiding. Nothing's even being hidden. I don't know where these people get off thinking everything's a conspiracy theory. It's being done in plain sight right in front of you because they know you're too stupid to even see that it's happening. I don't even argue with these people. The people that are, that's a conspiracy theory. Oh, okay, whatever. This guy has a good one here. James Fatke. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. I messaged Ryan on his show saying maybe the difference between Wendigo sightings with antlers, some without, maybe the difference between cow and a bull, like a male and female version. That's an interesting theory. But another theory that I have about that is that the Wendigo could be wearing a moose or elk head, like a skull. They could wear the whole thing over their head and just use it as sort of like a type of armor or protection, or to make it look more menacing to other creatures out there like Dogman. I've heard, and you guys can tell me if you think this is true. I was told that the Dogman, that they hail from India, that there were a lot of stories from the northern part of India. And that's the area where they originated from, and there was a kingdom there at one time, an advanced civilization during a different age in the Yugas. If you look up the Yugas, Yuga, there's 4 Yugas: the Satya Yuga, the Tetra Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. And we're supposedly in the early stages of the Kali Yuga, which is kind of disheartening when you think about it, because the Kali Yuga is 432,000 years long. So the dog-headed soldiers, as they called them, the dog-headed men, they were mercenaries, they were Black Sea pirates, they supposedly hung out with different groups, and that they were a race that were left behind by the Nephilim. This is different theories I've been told and given out. Some people swear by this. And that they were used in battle by different civilizations and armies. Tamerlane supposedly had an outfit, a unit of them. The Mongols, the Khans, interacted with them. Marco Polo talks about them, Alexander the Great. They were utilized by the Cossacks, by the Tartars. Not only did they all clash with them, but they also utilized them. Black Sea pirates, they were used as mercenaries in a lot of different wars. And supposedly they even had like rudimentary weaponry, and this is the cynocephaly, and that they had rudimentary weaponry, and that I've read all these different stories and theories, and that they had a sort of a language of yips and barks and clicks that they used to communicate, and that they worshipped a type of bull-headed god, like a god that was like, it had antlers, and they had built this thing in effigy in their camps, which is weird. I mean, that they had some sort of like a, whatever. So the Wendigo, if it is the rake, there's just, I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole here. Say it is this, there's a connection to the Wendigo and the rake. What's to say that this rake is not the Wendigo? And maybe the Wendigo wears the antlers to ward off the Dogman, because the remnants of the cynocephaly of the Dogman. Now, I'm not in agreement with those that say that those are two different things. I don't think the cynocephaly and the Dogman are necessarily different. Big Kundiv will tell you, oh, well, the cynocephaly are not Dogman because they have straight legs. How do we know that? There's no way to really know that. I mean, I respect Vig, that's his opinion. If you ask, another researcher like Ryan, he might have his own theory or whatever. You ask, one of these other guys, they could tell you something different, and you might talk to Chad Lewis, who's written a really good book about the Wendigo. He'll tell you another story. Dark Waters might tell you something different. I mean, everybody's going to have their own opinion. Linda Godfrey's going to tell you something different. Nick Valente, Jody Cook, they're all going to have a different opinion. But I'm just postulating on theories there and throwing things out and just saying, hey, you know what? This is what this could be. Maybe it is to gain an upper hand. I don't know, because they seem to kind of roam around the same territory as Dogman, Sasquatch, and Goatman. I mean, they all could just be cut from the same cloth. What if they're all from the Anunnaki? Look that up if you don't know what that is. Maybe if you subscribe to that. I don't know if I subscribe to it or not. But what if they're from the Anunnaki and they are all Nephilim, a type of Nephilim? They're just, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but supposedly they had like shields and spears that they would trade with the leaders of the Indian territories, the countries. The leaders would trade with them, and they knew how to use bow and arrows. They knew how to use spears and shields, and their shields would have like a bull head on there, kind of like the Greeks, in Crete. So there's that, Translucent Man, do we ever decide on a new name for the rake? I don't know. What do you guys want to call it? What do we call the rake? What are we going to do? That chair needs WD-40, man. It's loud. Edgar Casey said when Atlanteans escaped to Egypt, they took the things with them and they frightened the native Egyptians. These things were bred for doing hard labor. Could be Bigfoots. Could be a lot of things. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. What, you want to take it over for a second?
Oh, okay. This needs to go to the restroom. All right. Yeah. Oh, crap. Where'd the chat go? All right, here we go. All right, let me see. Call the rake a ghoul. That's what it's described as. You just had to go to the restroom real quick. You'll be right back. Average American says, why call it something else? It's a good question, because when you call it the rake, it gets referred to as a fictional story called a creepypasta. And if you don't know what that is, creepypastas are fictional stories that emerge on the internet. They started out like as a contest, and it was like on this forum, There was a contest to see who could make the scariest like fictional creature, fictional horror story, and the rake was one of them. I think the rake won, or I don't know how that works, but people actually see this thing. So uh, I don't know. I mean, whenever you say the rake, people are like, "Oh, that's not real. It's a creepypasta." But maybe they made that creepypasta after something that people actually do see. So calling it a rake gives it this connotation of being like a fake thing from an internet forum. So it might be a good idea to call it something else. I don't know. So it could be based off of sightings of the Wendigo, and people just took actual sightings of these Wendigo or these strange creatures, and they based their fictional rake creature off of those. But yeah, that's the whole thinking behind, like, hey, maybe we should call a rake something else, so it doesn't get conflated with this fictional creature that was originally just a creepypasta. Oh, Bigfoot Anonymous says Gollum. It looks like Gollum. Crawler, Leprechaun, Slim Jim, Skin Jim. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna give y'all back to Wolf here.
Roger Carter, give us a description of the rake. Roger, you should know what a rake looks like. Aren't you going to be drawing a picture for us? Remember the contest, guys, the art contest. Your submissions for the art contest, send it to me through Messenger. And I think how we're going to do it is I'm just going to take all the pictures and just post them all in the group, or maybe groups. And then everybody can just vote on the one that they like the most. And I'm just going to post them all as an announcement, and you can scroll down and hit the likes, whatever. We haven't fully decided how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to let you, the listeners, decide how you want to do it. I wouldn't call it a leprechaun. Another thing I was going to talk about, folks, I wanted to tell everybody, if you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, please let me know that you're a listener of the show. Send me a message in Messenger announcing that you are a listener of the show, because otherwise I'm probably not going to accept your friend request, because if I don't know you in my real life and I don't know that you're a listener of the show, I'm probably just going to reject your request. And you're going to be like, that guy's a jerk. He just rejected my request, because I don't know you. So there's that.
Carlos Flipper says, "Can we call the rake my precious?"
Gordy's in. The Cynocephali had human bodies with no fur and wore clothes. That's based on one description, but that's not necessarily the only one that we got. There are ancient Sumerian descriptions of these things, and actually Nick Taylor, who came on our show during the Hellhounds of Taylor, Texas, video that we did, and a lot of people got aggravated because they said he co-opted the show and did this and that. But we let him talk, and admittedly, the next day he was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry I rambled on and talked, whatever ad nauseum." But he does have some good information, and he does study a lot of ancient civilizations. And I can tell you right now that there are different descriptions of these things. Not all of the cynocephali were just wearing clothes and had no hair. They were very much wolf-like. Some of the descriptions. It just depends upon who was giving the description. Are you talking about Attila the Hun? And the Huns had a description. Are you talking about Tamerlane? Are you talking about which leader and his people are you talking about, and what description they gave? Because the Russians, had the Laplanders had a description for these things. It's all over Europe and Asia. It's all over North America. The Algonquins, one of my best friends was half Algonquin. Okay. I say was because he's deceased, but he was half Algonquin, and his people had legends of these creatures. And I'm not talking about skinwalkers per se, but like the dog-headed type people, and that they were, I talked to his mother. They were like wolf-like, and they were semi-civilized. One of the theories that my old co-host Sal, speaking of Sal, was what he came up with, and we kind of talked about this multiple times, me and him, was that the Dogman, if you're talking about the physical, actual creature of the Dogman, I do believe that they are like the cynocephali. I believe that they may have had a civilization at one time. I believe that they may have been genetically created in a past age of technology that we had. Maybe in a different era, if you go by the yugas, maybe in the Tetra Yuga would probably be the most, where they would actually start using technology, whereas a Setra Yuga, we just did everything by will. So maybe in that particular time period, they used them as guardians to protect things, maybe for their interdimensional travels. They had enough intelligence and had enough humanity in them to create a civilization that was rudimentary at best, but eventually it fell. And they all just kind of regressed and became wild and adapted their wild nature and went into the woods. I don't know. What do you think of that? I'm not saying that's exactly what I believe, but we're just talking here, right? We're chopping it up, and the rake will now be called the boogeyman. I think there's a lot of boogeyman out there. James Estrada, my theory is that Dogman and all other hybridized cryptids were created by the Nephilim. I believe some survived the flood by going underground and appeared as gods, things and civilizations. Very possible.
Robert Spencer says he'll do artwork and sculptures for us for free. He just wants to know how to find you on Facebook.
Just look up Josh Turner with my ugly mug on there with me wearing a set of headphones. I'm the admin of Paranormal Round Table, the group. One of the things I would like, and I'm actually going to get a P.O. box for if you guys want to send us stuff, because there were people at Christmas time that wanted to give us things and stuff, and you don't have to give us anything, but if you that's what you want and it makes you happy to feel better to give us something, whatever you want to send us something, a picture or something you drew, and you want us to have the physical copy of it, because some people were telling me that they wanted to draw some stuff, that we're going to get a P.O. box for that. I've just been so busy, and it's been so hard just trying to get this land secured to build, so I can build my space. Take a lot of pressure off me having to come to the office when we don't have the Wi-Fi going because the other people don't want to pitch in, or they're too cheap to, or they don't have the money, or whatever. It's annoying and aggravating, and I won't have to deal with that anymore. I believe we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 land deals go south now.
Yeah.
Is it 4?
I think so.
Yeah. Like 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3 in Jonestown, and then 1 in Cedar Park, and then the last one in 5. But I don't know. We found some acreage, and hopefully it'll work out. This last time around, the architect took so long, that the contract expired. I've lost tons of money, so that's just that's the way it is. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to send us something, that's fine. I'm looking for a certain picture that I want made. And if anybody wants to private message me, hit me up on Facebook. And if you're a decent enough artist, maybe I can, commission you to do it or something. Maybe I can pay you. But I'm looking for somebody to draw something for me. Another thing too, Ken Gerhard called me the other night, and he mentioned that we should get forensic artists to draw some of these witnesses' Dogman photos. I mean, not photos. To make Dogman pictures, drawn pictures, based on the descriptions of eyewitnesses. I thought that was a great idea, and I told him that was a good idea. Roger Carter is the rake, the same creature killed by the Dogman on the Hernandez Ranch. I don't remember there being a
No, he's talking about the
from Ernest.
Story we got from Ernest.
Ernest, yeah. Ernesto's story. That's not far from the Hernandez Ranch, so where that took place. Any stories about a Sasquatch manifesting in someone's house? I have a relative that saw one in her home. She said it looked more like a huge man covered in long hair. She thinks it was demonic. There was a story that my old co-host Sal had talked about of a Sasquatch, of a guy spraying a Sasquatch with a water hose, and then it came back in his house. It just appeared into his house and beat him and bit his fingers off. So I don't know. It says, I seen one in a video. They're skinny, pale white, and they scream, and they got sharp teeth. You're talking about a rake. Don't know about the screaming. I've heard of them making noise, but what does it supposedly sound like? I don't know. Do you think there's an alien race of these things? Possibly. Gordy's in. They were also said to be silk weavers. The Dogman I saw didn't look like silk weavers to me. Yeah, because it depends on what type of Dogman you saw. Maybe you saw the digressed version of the cynocephali, which if they've regressed, civilization can collapse and people fall into, look how advanced the Roman Empire was, and then look what followed and during the Dark Ages. I mean, it was like it went for everything, regressed. Italy regressed and went through a period of the Dark Ages. Maybe that's why they don't look like silk weavers.
Yeah. Average American said they scream like a stuffed pig. I guess talking about the rake. That would be a disturbing sound.
You've actually heard them? Carumbo, Portugu, SA, Pretty Boy, you got to make these shows better because they're horrible.
Well, hang on. Scroll down further because he was pretty quick to point out like that he was just kidding.
I was hoping he was going to be.
Yeah, no, he said I'm just kidding and something like I'm a big fan of the show.
So, Gordy, yes. So, feral cynocephali, that's a good theory. Dogman is a regular life cycle. How do we know that? Josie Wells, I love the handle. Indian Reservation Horror Stories Part 1 was your best in my opinion. Way to go. I wanted to touch on that. I got half a dozen emails or messengers, whatever, talking about that particular episode and touching on the fact that my dad spanked me and asking me, people are asking me if I suffered physical abuse. I will be really honest about that. By today's standards, yes, it would be physical abuse. My dad hit me a lot. Just point blank. Yes, he did quite a bit. And I don't have a good relationship with him. We don't really, I mean, if I can help it, I don't really talk with him much. Never really been there for me. I mean, he's just there, you know. So he's just a person that's just, you know, I had to be around him at Christmas and it was just really annoying. I mean, yeah. Love the show. Been listening since I heard you on Vic out here in Spicewood, Lakeway, Bee Cave. Lots of activity in this area too. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Sandra,
thank you for the donation.
Thank you for the donation. Do y'all want to hear a Dogman story? I need to get at least 10 people saying yes on here, and I will tell you a Dogman story that's out of Lakeway.
The Portuguese pretty Kubamba Portuguese pretty boy said, I don't know if you're backed up, but I've been hitting your email up and no response. Yeah, he's very much backed up. Don't take it personal.
Take it personal, sir. I hate you.
Well, I mean, you can take it however you want, but he's still backed up.
John Hinojosa, has anyone seen Two Suns in the Sky? I was watching a video about that, and it was actually about the Yugas, because I've been studying the Yugas and the different systems and all that, the Vedas. One of the things that there was I can't remember his name now, so much stuff I've been reading and studying. And I'll try to, if you hit me up, John, if you hit me up on Facebook, let me know who you are, and we can talk by Messenger. I can send you a link to the video, and it's about the time, the ages in the different time or whatever. And there is a yogi that believed from the 1890s that believed that the systems of the yugas were incorrect, and that we were in a short count, not a long count. And if you go and look that up, you'll know what that means. And I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to have to do this, but I'm losing my voice. I gotta take one of these. So sorry if it's a little unprofessional, but I don't give a crap.
It's better than clearing your throat a bunch.
Sir, can you shut up and speak when spoken to?
Give you a compliment.
Thank you, sir. I don't need your compliments. I am a compliment to the world, so shut up.
Well, but be a compliment to them and give them the Dogman story, because about 50 people already said yes.
Okay, now everybody say Anthony's a poopakaga head, because he's being a jerk to me.
Just keep saying yes so that you get your Dogman story.
Okay.
Just spam yes.
So anyways, Hinojosa, let me finish and then we'll get to that. There is a yogi that claims that there were two suns and that is what has... anyways, we'll talk about that. Everybody wants that Dogman story. Okay, guys. So this is what happened. There is a property, and it has actually been on a show, and I don't know if I have the liberty to say that show, but if you go to Travel Channel, it's this one guy. I think he only had like one season, and there's a guy who's kind of silly, who actually took a mirror from a house that was out by the lake. And I've been out to by that house many times. And I know, Anthony, I went out there with you and your ex-girlfriend, and I took y'all out there by the docks, and that lake house is sitting there. It's actually a pretty nice big house, but it's been sitting there vacant for a long time. And I've always said, and I've told you this, that it just looked haunted. Well, there was a show that this guy did on Travel Channel, and like I said, I don't know if I have permission to be talking about it and saying his name, whatever. I don't know exactly how that works, but if you go to like the Travel Channel, where they have the on demand or whatever, you can probably find it. And there's several shots of him walking around Austin, and He's kind of a tall guy, pretty smart, But anyway, he has a show, and there was a lake house out there by the lake. There's a dock, and that house, this guy took a mirror out of it, and it was supposedly very haunted. And he started having all kinds of paranormal activity and things going on. And he's got EVPs of these like demonic type creatures talking about him and saying things like, one of the EVPs said this guy's got a death wish, this and that. Really creepy stuff. Well, I was talking about that episode not too long ago to a friend of mine that lives here in Austin, lives out in Bee Caves. And he told me, he says, I went through there one night in that area, driving around with my girlfriend, who at the time was his girlfriend. They're now engaged, so it would be his fiance. But he said that we were driving right by that house, and maybe in private messenger I can tell some of y'all what this house is, whatever. And I don't want to be responsible for people going over there and trying to break in. That's my fear, People trying to find these places, and then you go break in, and they're like, "Well, Josh Turner said," and then I'm like, "Hey," because I don't want that kind of trouble. But this, he said that there was this weird looking creature sitting down in a ditch, and it looked like it was scratching at the ground, and it was right there, like the house is right there on the corner, and there's like a broken down privacy fence, and then you take a right, and then you go down this little road, and then it goes to the docks, and one of the docks. Anyway, it's a real pretty view. You can drive out there and see it. At night, you see the lights. It's real pretty. And in the daytime, it looks like something. It's really beautiful, And there's like a complex like of condos right there to the left, and then you go past that. Well, anyway, right there before you make that turn, he said that this little thing. He said it was little. It wasn't like a big creature, but he said this thing was like in a ditch. And it reminded me of what I saw when I was young or whatever. And I had never told this guy. He's not like my best friend or anything. I met him through another friend of mine that is a good friend of mine. And this guy was telling me this story, and he said that me and my girl were driving out there, and we saw this thing, this wolf-looking creature sitting in a ditch scratching. And I was like, "Well, hey, wait a minute." I was like, "Wolf-looking creature? What was the description of it?" He said it was really dark, but it started to dart out into the road in front of our car, and then turned on all fours and kind of skittered back. But it looked like humanoid, but on all fours with its back hunched over, like really bad hunched over. And he said at first he thought it was a really skinny, hairy person wearing a Halloween mask. And he did say that he saw the whole thing. It looked like a naked dude. But that, like he said, he thought it was wearing a Halloween mask. But he was like, it was like 40 degrees outside. And he was like, it was like a couple winters ago. And he said that when it ran out in front of the car, like it changed its mind and ran back because they were about to hit it. And he said that that it was probably only about 3 or 4 feet tall, but that was because it was hunched over. Like maybe if it stood upright, 5-6 feet. But the description of it definitely fit, of it being a dogman. And he said that his fiance got a better look at it out the window. When it got back down the ditch, it turned and kind of looked at it, and he said it turned its head kind of, and he said that she looked at it and was like, "Oh my gosh." And he was like, is that a guy in a mask? And she was like, "No, that's not a mask. He's got a wolf. It's a wolf's head on this skinny little body." And it looked almost malnourished, according to what she said. So, once again, I just made more trash, not go into the trash. We need to get some trash bags here. So, Angel, thank you. Any stories of Leon County? My fam has a haunted ranch in Jewett with a pack of aggressive wild dogs. Well, that sucks.
You said earlier, like the house was haunted, like all the candles lit up and went out in one night or something like that.
You need to give me that story, Angel, or come on the show and talk about it. I have a lot of people that I'm backed up on trying to get them to come on the show and record. And folks, me and Anthony have been so busy with our business that I had actually scheduled this week. I was supposed to be up in the DFW area and I was going to hang out with Nick Redfern, and I was going to make time and hang out with Lyle Blackburn, and because I got to go up there to visit an old friend and take care of some stuff, and I don't even know if I'm able to go because we got so much work, and that's a shame because I was really hoping to get to do that.
The Kubumba guy says, I know what's taking most of the people in the parks around America. People really need to hear it. They're deleting my posts about missing people.
What are they?
Well, now's your chance. You have a platform right now to just say what you think it is.
Come on, Hakuna Matata, tell us.
Hakuna Matata. That's actually easier to say than however his name is pronounced.
The Travel Channel episode was about that house being haunted and that guy taking the mirror out of it. And I didn't really understand it because when I don't watch a lot of those shows, but every now and then I'll watch one, and it was Austin based and it was a house that I know about. But the mirror that he took, I don't even know why he would take it. It was like it was a broken, mirror. It was just a piece of broken mirror. Like, why would you take that? I mean, then go into a house and just take an old shoe. Come on, Oh, this looks pretty. Oh, it's got some dog crap on it, too. Let's just take that. Oh, it's haunted. Why did I take this dirty old shoe? Double A, you would have punched that little dog man if it came at me. What if you punched it and then it bit you and then you became something? Or what if you punched it and a bigger one just jumped out of a tree and started attacking you, like me and Anthony and Nelly ate dinner with a guy who's a fan of the show about back in November?
Yeah.
And he told us a crazy story about this dogman creatures jumping out of trees up in upstate New York.
If it's a little one, you don't have to punch it. I would just pet it and
be
nice to it.
Even if it's the size of a full-grown dog and it could tear your hand off.
Or if it's like a little puppy or something.
Get some Snickers. Maintain your energy levels. Now, folks, I got this stuff here. It's called Stabilize. One of my fight friends eats those, and he's training and has to cut weight. So,
speaking of, this is kind of out of the blue. Susan Gillespie says, "Please tell my son to quit MMA cage fighting."
Susan, why does your son want to be an MMA cage fighter? Are you beating him, Susan? Does he need to protect himself from you? Are you trying to make him join a gang? Are you in the Crips? Are you trying to force him?
Double A said, "No, I would WrestleMania Randy Orton, that little dog man."
I give it the people's elbow.
Oh, she said
Stone Cold Stunner.
She said he is one. He has a belt.
He is one what?
Cage fighter.
But why does he want to do it? Skinwalker Ranch had a dog man with a dog with a trench coat smoking cigarettes. No joke. Yep. Here's another thing I'm going to talk about eventually is the reptilian dogman connection. We talked about the rake dogman connection, but the reptilian dogman connection is another one. And I have a plethora of stories about that. I mean, I don't have like a library, but over the course of the last several years, I've been doing all this research, since being on Vic's show. Stuff trickles in here and there. Someday we'll find it. Reptilian connection. The Dogman, the Dreamers, and me. I don't like reptiles just in general. I don't know if anybody ever watched the Jeff Corwin Experience. It was a really good show. He was like a herpetologist. He was always messing with reptiles. And they're cool to watch, cool to look at. There's a zoo, a snake farm in New Braunfels that's, not too far from here. And I've taken Anthony there a couple times. And you can get really close to the animals. Like they have an alligator. Is it alligators or crocodiles? What are they? Alligators, both?
Alligators, yeah.
And they're feeding them. And you can get a few feet from like the fence is like right there. They have hyenas, they have wolves, they have lions, tigers, they have bears, they have and it's a small little place, and you can get right up close to the animals. It's really cool. They have a black jaguar in there and just all kind of eagles, and it's a really neat little place. And I like to go there sometimes. And the guy from Dirty Jobs, Roe, what's his name? Something Roe.
I think
Mike Rowe, he's been there, and they had I think it's Mike. I think it's Mike Rowe. He's a good guy, but he was there at one point, and if you go there and you walk into the entry room, it's just full of snakes, and I'm talking like the top 10 deadliest snakes they have and you can walk right up to the glass and see them. And it rivals like a bigger zoo. The stuff that they have there is really cool. It's cool, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, and my wife likes to go there. I'm going to take her there pretty soon, like on a trip. We're going to be going to San Antonio probably next month. Probably going to hit up my good friend Ken Gerhardt. I've been talking about it. We haven't seen each other in a while because of the COVID thing, but and then he's got another job he's doing. He's working a job. Because he's like me, he's got to work. But we're like, hey, we're gonna go up there. We're gonna see. We're gonna eat dinner. We're gonna go hang out. And he actually works part time on the weekends at the San Antonio Zoo. But I like to stop at the snake farm in New Braunfels. But I'll tell you the truth, I get really nervous, really uneasy when they bring those snakes out, or when they are around me. The reptiles just make me nervous. I really don't like reptiles. They're so cold. I mean, they don't. I don't know. It's just something I don't know. I just don't like reptiles. And there was a friend of ours, this guy Coffee used to have one, and he was always playing with it. And he had this really big, I think it was a Burmese or a reticulated python. It was a really big snake. And it got out. He was messing with it one day because everybody was drunk and who knows what else. And I kept telling him, you want to put that thing back, Eventually, it wrapped itself around a girl's arm and leg, and there's this one guy who's like all into snakes and spiders. I think it's Carlos or something. I don't know his name, but he's always arguing with me. He always leaves nasty comments when I talk about snakes and spiders on my Facebook or my YouTube or whatever. Like I told him last time, if you don't like what I'm saying, dude, then go start your own channel or whatever. I'm just going to delete your comments because you're being rude. And I've seen this behavior for myself. And when he said that spiders don't drink water and all this other stuff, that's absolutely not true. They do. And but anyway, this snake got out and started being aggressive, and I ended up having to help with two of the people peel it off of a girl. And then when it turned and started doing whatever it was doing, I had to take it and throw it, and it like slung across the floor to the kitchen and was getting ready to kill it. And the guy was like, no, it's my snake. Once he got it back into the enclosure, we proceeded to beat the crap out of this dude and then fed him to the snake. And then it pooped him out. I think that's a true story. That is not a true story. But I did have to actually help pull the snake off and throw it, I didn't beat the guy up. I just left the part.
Someone's gonna take that one clip and then just edit it and spread it around.
Well, thanks for giving them ideas. Good. Go ahead. And everybody's going to ask me about it, and it'll give me publicity. Is that what you really want? Someone like me? Uh-oh. Not only Skinwalker. Lots of Dogman stories in upstate New York. Yes, there is. And a lot of rake stories in upstate New York, too. Weird. You can't just say giant man as people are taking people in force without saying what you think, why you think that. Folks in country leave cigarettes. Dogman was having a hard day and needed to relieve stress. What are you talking about?
He's probably talking about the smoking cigarettes or whatever.
Angel, once again, Paranormal Round Table. I have a reptile Dogman connection story. Really? Please send it to me. Hit me up on Facebook. Wondering why you don't hear cowboys from the Wild West singing Dogman. I looked into it. It says something about old trapper. They say his Bigfoot sounds Dogman. Dude, I've heard lots of stories from the old days of people seeing and hearing things. I don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of stories from the old days. Have you heard of Deer Man in New Mexico? Not necessarily just in New Mexico, but I've heard of deer people, people that like deer stand on their hind legs, looking weird, like transformation. Pauline Rome, Wolf, I do believe the dogmen were brought here by the reptilians who use as weapons. Could be. They could be engineered from way back. Hayden Santos, any stories of Dogman in California mountains or the desert? Absolutely, there are. My wife grew up in the high desert in the Antelope Valley, and I have been trying to get her to talk about her Bigfoot encounter, and it seems like, and it's been a while, and it is like pulling teeth to try to get her to come on and talk about that. Getting her to talk about the Dogman story, and Vic and me both have tried to get her to go to Bigfoot Eyewitness, but she gets nervous when she talks about her own encounters. It's just like she's got like, and there's one that she had with a baby Bigfoot, and that she has not talked about on our show. We've never released that, have we? We did the interview.
With who?
With Nellie.
Oh, yeah, I don't think.
But I don't think we ever released it. But she had one with her brother when she was little, and so up in the high desert. Yeah, I got a Dogman story not too long ago from some ladies that were driving through the desert, and one of these Dogman-looking creatures came running along on all fours, run along the side of their vehicle, and decided to just cut right in front of them and almost ran them off the road. And when they swerved, their lights caught another one just standing right there on the side of the road. And then they swerved back onto the road and saw them in their rearview mirror standing in the middle of the road. So yeah, you get a lot of stories like that of people just seeing these creatures cutting in front of their vehicles, almost like they're trying to make them wreck. Like I got one out of Tennessee where these dogmen, they believe it was dogman because they had these tree branches in the middle of the highway, or it was a highway. It was like a 2-lane highway though, and they were driving, and they swerved off the road to keep from running into these tree branches that looked almost like they'd just been thrown up there, and they went off into a ditch, and their headlights illuminated 3 or 4 pairs of eyes, and these dogman-looking creatures came lunging out at them, and they got back up on the road, and yeah, and I've heard stories like that, like more than once. Like I've gotten stories like that, and that one in that area, that's happened more than once with that area, because when I was talking to another researcher about that not too long ago, well, about a year ago, they had given me another story, and that was the one they told me was about that one. It was very similar to one I'd already gotten. So, I don't know. It's some sort of transparent demon that comes halfway out of a portal, it grabs you, and is gone in seconds. Okay, shades of the Serbian werewolf. If you go back into the archives of our show and you listen to the show about the Serbian werewolf, it was a case that me and my brother had both kind of worked on. The Serbian werewolf, one of the servants, the maids, was on these stairs, and she got grabbed by a werewolf-looking creature that tried to pull her through a portal, and it was like halfway through the portal, like the front half of it was, and the back half was invisible, and it was kind of like this blurry, like portal-looking thing, like like almost like water in midair. It was weird the way they described it. Also, we're doing a story. What's the show going to be called? Not this coming Friday. It's going to be part 2 with Trey, my cousin, but the next Friday is going to be Shimmering, Glimmering.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet what
What we're going to call it, but it is. I was going to say Shimmering Cryptids.
Yeah. Shimmering
Cryptids. I don't want to call it Glimmer Man because that's that's the name of a movie, but and they don't really seem like men. So what you're saying about these demonic entities that are transparent, that's pretty, that's kind of crazy. I was watching Missing 411, The Hunted, and there was an awesome story in the comments section of a guy with an encounter of a cloaked figure that terrorized him as he was camping. I even have a story of a cloaked figure that confronted someone in their hallway of their suburban home as they were going to the bathroom. Weird thing is, this person had no paranormal activity in their house. They never had any experiences with the paranormal at all whatsoever. And the story was told to me through a person who had given me a story and said, "Hey, my friend's dad has a story, and I'll give you that story." And so I talked to the daughter and then the daughter's husband, and so it was a daughter and a son-in-law, told me that their dad was coming out of the restroom, and this cloaked, shimmering looking thing was standing in the hallway that materialized into what we would call the Hat Man. And when he asked, like who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you in my house? He was like standing there freaked out, like whoa, what's going on? Why are you here? Whatever. He said he began to ramble and just spit out a bunch of questions to this thing. It told him eating. Okay. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. Okay. But you get these weird like explanations from these creatures when you ask them questions, okay? Like to feed, eating, take you, one of these entities during a session with a Ouija board asked why it was there in their house and what it was doing there, and it said take souls. So enjoyed the show, Susan Gillespie. Susan, I'm going to give you some advice. The way to deal with your son, if he doesn't want to quit cage fighting, is to break both of his legs misery style. I would say probably like the way that, what's the actress that does it to James Caan? That broke his legs in Misery. She's a big old broad. Sedate him, lay him down on the bed. When he wakes up, his legs are broken and twisted, and he won't go anywhere. Unfortunately, he probably won't be able to work either or support you, so that may not be the best route. Also, if you break his legs like that, and he heals up and he's a fighter, you might have some problems. And then, of course, there is the ramifications of law enforcement being involved. If he manages to get to a phone, so you're going to have to take away any of his phone privileges or anything like that. I'm just kidding. I hope you know that that's just a joke, right? Do not break your son's legs to stop him from cage fighting. Kind of defeats the purpose.
I want to catch up in the chat.
What do you have for Indiana? I've got a few things. stop beating up reptilians and throw them out of bars. That's one of the things I was going to actually record with my friend Squid about. I was going to get his perspective on that whole thing with the reptilian dude. We didn't get to record yet. Hopefully we'll get it done.
Someone was asking about T-Rex sightings in Texas.
Yeah, I just got to that. You live in Texas. Tell us stories about T-Rex sightings. Like people here have seen full-size T-Rex in Texas. I don't have any stories of people seeing full-size T-Rexes, but I do have some stories down in South Texas in the Rio Grande Valley of people seeing smaller, almost like velociraptor-sized T-Rexes, which could actually be a velociraptor-type creature. Now, we also know through the fossil records that if you've been paying attention to Paranormal Round Table, the group, I posted something on there recently about how the dire wolf is not really a wolf. And it's not even related to the gray wolf. They just figured that out. It was in the Scientific American, and it was an article I posted about that. The dire wolf is actually a type of prehistoric dog that evolved and developed completely separately from the Canis lupus, the gray wolf, or timber wolf, that was originally across the Bering Land Bridge from Europe and Asia. That's what the scientists believe, and that this dire wolf, this prehistoric dog from this holdover from the Ice Age, two different species, but they evolved to look very similar. Just like, I don't know if you believe in evolution, I don't know if you want to call it. Some people say, well, it's not evolution, it's adaptation. So evolution, adaptation, whatever you want to call it, they adapted to become very similar in their appearance. They appear very similar. So that is one thing that we're dealing with in these creatures. Sometimes the way that creatures look, they can develop on two completely different isolated areas, and they'll still end up becoming very similar creatures. And now here's another thing too, people who don't believe in evolution, who's to say that God didn't use evolution to create us? Because if you look at the Hindu belief and the divine years and all that, and a lot of their stuff, and some of it, believe it or not, parallels Christianity in some ways, like Krishna and Kali Krishna when he returns and how he gets rid of all the bad guys, kind of like Jesus. If you look at the what they say is going to happen, it's like there's a very similar and eerie parallel there. And when you look at the records of these animals, how they, like what I was saying about the animals, how they have grown in different places, but they look very similar. It could be God's design in the way He built the world, and how things were created through evolution. Because one day to God in 7 days there could be a divine year. One divine year is like I think it was like how many days? 365 years is one divine day. So do the math. 365 years times 7 days. I mean, over the course of a couple thousand years, adaptation takes hold, and or evolution, whatever you want to call it. And then you have these different types of creatures that have grown and they're very similar to one another. If that makes any sense. The T-Rex in Texas stories. I'm going to do an episode that I've already started to flesh out about dinosaurs, particularly in the Rio Grande Valley. And I'm waiting on a buddy of mine that does a lot of research down there to give me a little more insight into what's going on down there, in particular these pterodactyl type sightings, these velociraptor, T-Rex looking things people see. They could be the remnants of a prehistoric race of reptilians that are running around. Also, if anybody has any stories, I was going to do one on Carlsbad Caverns, because Carlsbad Caverns, I was given a really, really weird, creepy story about how some people were wandering around down there and they had guns pointed at them when they got too close to a closed off area. Seems a little extreme for just being like, because I've been to Carlsbad Caverns multiple times, you know. Once when I was a kid, a couple times when I got older. You know, I know we went on a field trip when I was like a teenager or something, and don't remember much of that because I was too busy just, you know, goofing off. But I went as an adult. It was Scorpion and Diablo. We were doing a bodyguard job, and we decided to go and have some fun. And we went up to the casino at the end of the mountain gods of Ruidoso, and we went to Carlsbad Caverns, and we went to Roswell, and we did some other stuff while we were there. We just said, you know what, we'll make the most of this trip. And so what ended up happening when this person said that they were in Carlsbad, and these people came out and they pointed guns at them, did a little research, and they found out that supposedly that area was a habitat for some sort of prehistoric lizards. And the way that the people describe these lizards are very humanoid. So that's weird, but I'll touch on that again in another day. The Darrow who live in the hollow earth, James Estrada. Yes, my friend, the late Brenton Solomon, God rest his soul, was a good man. I was just talking to my wife about him yesterday. And me and him were gearing up to do a project together when he ended up in the hospital and quickly passed. It was devastating. But he was a good guy, and I liked him a lot. And one of the things that he talked about was the Darrow. And he believed that he had an encounter with one. And this thing had a long, droopy nose, this long, oversized nose that hung down. Now, you would ask, why would it have like a really long elephant trunk type appendage? Well, your nose continues to grow. So the Darrow supposedly lived to be, you know, they lived for a long, long time. They live under the earth. That's something we could talk about on one of the episodes one day. And they have these really elongated noses because the nose is just, they're so old that their noses get big and droopy. And Brenton's claimed to have had an encounter with one of those. I don't know if his channel's still up. Somebody had said something about his daughter was still keeping his channel up with his shows, but he does tell of his encounter on that show. It's pretty interesting. Go check it out. People are seeing full-size T-Rex in Four Corners and in Texas. There again, I don't really know about the full-size T-Rex because I think it would be a massive giant. You think that it'd be like a lot of people would be seeing it if it was that big. Do you think there are links with witchcraft and Dogman? Yes. One of the things that Vic told me was that a lot of stories he gets involve people using Ouija boards. Kathy Bates, everybody. Kathy Bates. How come did y'all coordinate this? Gordy, Terry, Abe.
No, it was when you were talking about it.
Kathy Bates. No, I know. I'm just everybody said it all at once.
Oh.
You need to lighten up, my friend.
Well, you're like 8 minutes behind in the chat.
I don't care. I'm trying to get to talk about this stuff. Lon Strickler got reports of full-size T-Rex sighting. Okay, well, when I get one, I'll let you know. Dino sightings in the outback in Australia as well. Yes. One of my brothers from way back in the day he claims he was a dingo wrangler. Like they used to have problems with the dingoes preying upon the native populations because it was considered an invasive species, and eventually the Aussies just kind of gave up, I guess. But he went out into the outback and claims to have seen a prehistoric looking kangaroo type thing. But as weird as that sounds, he got a story from a person who claims to have seen a giant lizard reptile looking thing that was the size of a dinosaur. And I will do a show on that. Got to add that to the list of the dinosaur things because I'd forgotten all about that. I got it somewhere in my phone, and I got to go back and look it up. But yeah, he claimed that there was some sort of prehistoric critter, that this guy he was with. I don't want to get into it, but I will do it on the show eventually. Do you think the dire wolf might be more closely related to Dogman than wolves? No, probably not. But then again, who knows? I mean, I've mentioned that before that it could be. It could be. I kind of doubt it though because it was more. There's no evidence that it stood up on its hind legs. Megalania, yes. It says, any reason why there are so few cryptid reports in North, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, and Nebraska? There are tons of them in Wyoming and Idaho. Nebraska, I've had a couple weird stuff, things coming out of cornfields. North Dakota, I can't really say, but South Dakota, yeah, near the Black Hills. I've gotten some weird stuff out of there. Any updates on stories from Hernandez, individual associated with Hernandez Ranch? Yes. And I do have a show planned coming up pretty soon, and it's going to focus on Robbie. So do you think dogs came from dire wolves or from wolves like they always taught us? Well, the DNA would say that they came from wolves because the domesticated dogs that we have a lot of wolf DNA in them. Raptor versus Dogman would be a good flick. Yeah, let Sci-Fi know. They'll do it. Do you hear a lot of stories about Dogman hunting rakes? Not necessarily hunting them, interacting with them though, and I did do one called the Dogman Rake Connection. Carlsbad is creepy AF. I woke up in a pool of dried blood larger than my body at a hotel there at 13. The sheet came off the mattress in my sleep. Whoa. David Daniels, not a believer in the Judeo-Christian. Well, it's actually two different things, but whatever. David, that is your opinion. You're entitled to it. R.I.P. Brenton, love that guy. Thank you for a great night, Wolf. Any guardian angel stories? Yes, actually I do. That's another one we need to get into. I need to write that down. See, because I wrote these down in another book and I don't know where it's at. And then I put it on this note thing, the app that I got on my phone, and now I can't. Somebody accessed it or something. It was weird. So now I gotta. It's always something. But you guys can tell me. You guys can tell me what you guys want to hear. I'm going to start doing some questions on the Q&As and asking you guys at home like what kind of stuff you want me to talk about, because I have a ton of material that we can talk about. It just and I can always do more research, and some of the cryptid type stuff I can, the overflow that I have personally that I'm kind of backed up on, I could have Ryan do it. Which is one of the things that me and Ryan were going to do, was work together on some of the cryptid stuff, on his channel, and on mine too. But he's going to focus on that in particular. In Four Corners, there's so much stuff like Centaur reports. I got Centaur reports too. I think I got that written down over here. Let me see. We've already done this show. Weird, because the 3 of the Centaur reports I got were all from children between the ages of like 4 and 6, or 3 and 6. But you would think, okay, a child that age, they don't know what they're talking about. But one of them involved a mother actually seeing it too, which made me wonder. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, T Spooky Chick. I can't see that there are full-size T-Rex. Where would they hide? Everyone would be seeing them. Yeah, exactly. C-Dub, where can I send a paranormal story that happened to me? It's pretty good, and I have a few other stories I can share. PRT, what is it? Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Or you can send it to my messenger, and I will try to get to it as soon as I can. James Fetke, tell Anthony to settle down. You can't rush perfection. Exactly.
Yes, you can.
In my opinion, the Bishopville, North Carolina lizard man was actually a bipedal dinosaur, jumped on a guy's car roof. Very possible. Ghost Bunny, there's been a centaur seen around my res. My sister's boyfriend has seen it running in a field. Send me that.
You said centaur or minotaur?
Centaur. If a dogman is interdimensional, could it get here in this dimension? Possibly fatally, but if able to get back through to their dimension, they heal. Any Jersey Devil encounters? Yes, actually, I was working with a girl. I was in security. And I think I've talked about this before, and she was an assistant manager of a CVS. CVS is a type of chain, a pharmacy, whatever. And it was out in a town called Bee Caves. And we were sitting there talking one morning. She'd always come in like early. And we were sitting there talking, and we started talking about weird stuff, paranormal stuff, because I was working next to a haunted cemetery where people see what they call the lady in white. And I was like, wow, that cemetery is just right there. But the urban sprawl had spread so much that it was what was once a country cemetery was now having a CVS built right next to it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So we're talking about the paranormal, and she told me about a Jersey Devil sighting she had. Got a couple others too, and I was going to get Nick Valente to get on the show and talk about his theory about that. Dick Richards, you have two good ones. Was it stories? I thought you gave your story to Marvin Allen. Ryan says, yo, swinging on through to say hello to all the good people. Got my info gathered up for the next episode. Wolf, we're going to rock this out. Yes, we are. If anybody of you have not heard the Gugwe episode that me and Ryan put out on the first episode of Whisper to a Scream, you go check it out. Because we definitely had a good time making it. I've heard some of the Dogman stories from a guy named Jeff Nadolny. They seem so far-fetched. What's your opinion on the matter if you've heard them? I've said this before, and I don't want to start anything. Jeff has the right to put whatever he wants on his channel. It's his channel, his show. He can talk about whatever he wants. But I, myself, do not have to believe it. I'm not saying that it's, right or wrong or whatever, but some of it seems to be, I don't know, man. I mean, you can, it's almost like a soap opera sometimes. I don't know. I don't want to start anything with the guy. I don't know him that well, but I have a hard time getting into the whole secret government agent guy going around. I don't know. You guys formulate your own opinions on that. Dude, do you think Dogman can live in a desert? Yes. Thank you, Charles Overcash. I think it's funny how Wolf is always having to say just kidding because they're ignorant people who can't comprehend the joke. That is absolutely why I said. I get criticized for saying I'm just joking, whatever, just kidding. I have to say that because if I don't, then people will go out and be like, oh, that guy's dumb. He's so stupid. He said da da da. I believe that. Because that's what happens. What's a centaur? Folks, does anybody know what a centaur is? Somebody just answered. It's a half human, half horse. What does Vic Cundiff look like? I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time. And Vic has told me to actually... that he's okay with me telling people the truth and telling them what he looks like, and that is a muscular Ryan Reynolds. I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you this, people. Any stories from the Big Thicket? Here in Texas, absolutely. The Big Thicket is one of two areas of the country that's considered jungle, and it's right here in Texas in the east. And we get lots of stories of all kinds of weird stuff. Even stories of I think actually didn't we talked about Cato Lake, Cato, whatever. Oh, the episode of Whisper to a Scream. No, it's going to be on the show coming up after this Friday. We talk about the Cato Lake, and then it's in the Big Thicket. There's actually a pretty good book written about it. It's called Into the Big Thicket. Love that zombie encounter with the undead lady beating on that truck driver's windshield when he was taking a nap. You never get more zombie encounters. Yes, I do, but it's a weird one. Interesting. Jeff recently told a partial story that Wolf told a long time ago. The camper that witnessed people dancing around a campfire, then howling. I thought rip off from complete story you told. Yeah, that was a guest, I believe, that came on my show, and he told that story, and then Jeff, I guess he stole it, and I don't know what to make of that guy. There's enough a-holes out there already. I gotta deal with enough a-holes. Paranormal Round Table, a dude I know on YouTube, Sage Wanderer, has a story about his grandma midwife back in the day delivering dog-human hybrids. What do you think about all the people that go missing in our national parks? You think there's a link to Dogman and Bigfoot? Yes. Sam Houston National Forest? Yes. Bigfoot, definitely for sure. When are you going to have your brother and cousin on? They are really funny and informative, plus those guys from the Hernandez Ranch. The guys from the Hernandez Ranch work with us, or worked with us, or how do you say it? Like, how do you say they work with us periodically? How would you say that?
What, part-time?
Well, no, because they work for a client of ours, and it is a large company, and they have a company that works for that company, and I don't want, and I'm pretty sure they don't either, that particular company. I'm pretty sure they're not going to want that company going like, oh, okay, so we have a bunch of people who believe in ghosts and werewolves, and I don't know how they would take that. I don't know, and I don't think that those guys want the publicity for not only for Jerry's company, but I don't think he wants that, and I know they don't want people out there at their property because they've already had it happen. So I don't know that they'll be coming on, but you never know. Maybe down the road in the future, maybe we can get one of them to come on and say something. And my brother's been on the show, and cousin. Which cousin are you referring to, Shirley? My cousin's on last Friday. One of my cousins. The Big Thicket is in East Texas, but it's also, I believe it extends into Louisiana and Arkansas. How about them bucks? Yep. Diane Rain, I knew it. I commented and he got passed and denied it. What does that mean?
She meant to say PO'd.
Yeah. What is she talking about?
I don't know. You probably didn't see her comment, and she thought you got mad and ignored it. There's 200 other people in here. M. Clark. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't see it. M. Clark. I'm going back. I didn't even see
She's
it.
not trying to be mean.
M. Clark. I don't see any other comments on there. I'd love to be on the show. I was on Vic's newest episode, Sleepy Hollow Wolfman. What was that about? That sounds interesting.
Oh, okay. I guess she was talking about Jeff, not you. Sorry. Sorry, I'm Clark.
So somebody made a comment about him ripping that off, and he got mad. Oh yes, the guy with the accent was. I'm so tired. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, he's a good guy, very nice guy. What episode was that about the sorcerers in the woods? Folks, this is my Paranormal Round Table shirt. We also have hoodies. Unfortunately, I had 4 of them. Now I only have 1 because 3 of the people in my household can fit into 3X. So getting into a 4X is not that big of a stretch. They can just snag mine and fits comfortably. What was the guy's name? Arturo, right?
Yeah.
What have you learned, if anything, that are good Dogman deterrents? Well, definitely take blood, lots of it, and lots of like deer or beef parts, and scatter them all over the place. That'll get rid of them for sure. They hate the smell of blood and guts and any kind of meat. Leave your pets outside, like especially cats and small dogs. The yapping and the hissing makes them run away. And definitely travel alone at night in the dark. They're afraid to ambush you.
They'll be more scared of you if you're unarmed.
They're more scared of you than you are of them.
Yeah.
This one guy sent me a story. He came up on a Dogman, 2 of them eating another dude. And he was like, "Hey, get out here." And he called this guy the Dogman Whisperer up in Wisconsin. His initials are RS. And that guy said, "Hey, you stop that. You go over there." And the Dogman did. True story. On the serious side, what I have heard really is actually good for keeping the Dogman and other cryptids and other entities off of your property is lighting. Just don't have your house if you live out in the country in particular, just dark as heck. And do not do what I said and spread blood everywhere, because that's probably not going to be a good deterrent.
Yeah, you better specify that was all just a bit, because someone's going to get angry and call you stupid.
For God damn.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan is a goat, man. Was that what? Is Vic Cundiff the guy in the commercials for his merchandise? No, he is not. That is David Cladd. We have definitely gone way over, 2 hours now?
Yeah, we're almost 3 hours.
Yeah, we're almost 3 hours, folks. And I appreciate you guys hanging in there. And does Vic really speak that way? Yeah, he does. I've had lots of conversations with him on the phone. And yes, he does. Yeah, you do know, Ryan. You know who the Dogman Whisperer is. I have all this evidence of the Dogsman. I train dogs, so therefore I know what the Dogman. And they're all flesh and blood. And I have all this evidence, and I've been trying to give it to King Gerhard, who's been laughing at me. Do we still have the cursed key? Yes, we do. Although it has kind of disappeared and reappeared a couple times recently, not too long ago. It is really weird too having an object like that in your house. My wife can't stand it. She doesn't. But I don't know what to do. Hi, Josh. Would you have Paul Sinclair on the episode possibly one day? He has some great encounters. Absolutely, he does. And me and Paul have spoken not too long ago, like back in December. He's been very busy, and I'm very, very busy. But me and Paul actually did record an hour-long episode with Sal, and we never released it because we thought that we were going to finish it up. He can only do an hour, and we had barely scratched the surface with Paul, and so we were going to go back and do another hour or two with him. And we had actually planned. We even told Paul it was probably going to be a 3-parter, and it never materialized. He was so busy writing his book and doing all the other things he was doing that we just never got around to doing the other 2 parts. But we still have that episode, don't we?
Yeah.
So what I was going to do, and that's actually I'm glad somebody mentioned that, because I was thinking about adding that to the Patreon. If you want to hear that special episode with Paul Sinclair, we'll just put that on there in the Patreon thing, because I was never going to release that. It was one that me and Armando did. We also recorded with Al Santariga, but something happened with Al, and he unfriended me. I don't know what happened on Facebook, and tried talking to him, and he just kind of blew me off. I don't know what it was, because I didn't release his show in a timely fashion or something. And then I just thought, you know what? I just never released it. Do I think that the government controlled Dogman? It could be. Some of them, anyway. Someone posted this. It says here, what are your views on the connection with missing people at national parks with Bigfoot, aliens, and different dimensions? What are my views on the connection with people? Man, that is a long, drawn-out subject, dude. Definitely think it could be happening. Who did the music for your show? The mariachis, the cursed mariachis that are now black dogs running around Taylor. David Paulides would be a great guest. Do me a favor, Lori, get him on. Hit him up. I just don't have the time to even bother. I can't. Just to get him. Just Dogmen are bothering you or your property, and have them acting nice in a week. No, you'd have to go to the Dogman Whisperer to do that, and I'm not him. All right, folks. I guess that's it for tonight, man. I really enjoyed it, and I try to give the best I can, do the best I can. I'm just very relaxed, and it's not a real. Some people be like, "Oh, it's not professional." He was eating a stabilized bar, whatever they're called. He was just leaning back in his chair. I'll probably get criticized for every single thing. But I gave you almost 3 hours, I believe. It's 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So you got 3 hours of a Q&A. You're going to get a show on Friday. You're going to get another show with me and Ryan on Sunday. So you're getting your PRT fix. So I hope everybody is happy. I'm going to be doing the giveaway again on Friday. Like I said, we were going to announce the winners. Debbie Wolf won last week. And also, hold on one second. And that's it, guys. We had another winner. I'm trying to remember. Oh, and Ryan, if you're listening, I sent your Chad Lewis Wendigo book, the autograph book. I sent it to you. You'll be getting it. You can read it. Tell me what you think. And the other winner from last week. Hold on. Sorry about that, folks. I cut out for a minute there. But her name was Jamie. I can't remember the middle. Her last name is Loar, Loar. She's the one that won this past week's. The week before was Debbie Wolf. Dude from Texas, hit me up on Messenger on Facebook. Not something to talk about here. Nice work, Josh. Thanks for the live chat. Thank you for everybody that showed up. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We love our fans and we love interacting with you guys. So, good night, guys. Peace.